everything that they had. They were oppressing the people, and Gideon now has wheat and he's threshing it behind the wine press in order to hide it from the enemy. He's been blessed, he's been prosperous, but in order to hold on to it, it seemed like he got to hide it. He got to hide it from the enemy, and in the midst of him hiding it from the enemy, the angel of the Lord appears to him. The angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, and Gideon told Gideon that that the Lord would deliver them. And Gideon begins to question God. Let me find my place in the text. Gideon says in verse 13, unto him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us, why then is all this fallen us? And where be all his miracles, which our fathers told us, saying, did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. The angel of the Lord has appeared to Gideon, and Gideon says, if the Lord be for us, if the Lord be with us, then why is all of this happening to us? And there are those of us who find ourselves in situations, and we often wonder, if God, if you are who you said you are, then why has this sickness fallen to me? Why has my finances fallen to nothing? Why has my loved one died? Why has my situations crumbled around me, and it seems like there's no hope anywhere around? God, if you says you are who you are, if you're with me, then why am I in the situation that I'm in? I know Gideon ain't the only one that have had these trials. Gideon isn't the only one that has been threshing and hiding what God has blessed him with to try to keep it from the enemy, and questioning, God, if you're with me, why am I suffering? Why am I going through? It was in this that the Lord began to speak to Gideon and told him that he would deliver them. But Gideon wanted to know, if you're with us, why are we here? If you're with us, then where are all those miracles that our fathers told us about, saying that you brought them up out of Egypt? God, I know what my father said. I know what my mother and them said. I know what was taught to us through the oracles of time. But if you're with us, then where are these miracles that you performed for them out in the wilderness? Where's this protection that you granted unto them? Where's this peace that you gave unto them? Where is this favor that you shed on them? Here we are in a land, and we're starving. We are hungry. Our enemy is running over us. Where are all the miracles you performed back then? There are those of us, brothers and sisters, who feel like what God did before, he can't do it again. But I came by here today to let you know that what God has done before, he's able to do it again. I wish I had some help in here. There's somebody who can testify that what the Lord has brought to pass before, he's able to bring it to pass again. And the Lord looked upon him in verse 14 and said, go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. And he said unto him, Lord, where shall I save Israel? He said, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least of my father's house. Gideon began now to look at his situation, his circumstances, his abilities. He wasn't looking to God. He began to look at who he was and figured that God couldn't use him. I came by here to encourage somebody. It don't matter what kind of family you came from. It don't matter your lack of education. It don't matter the lack of money that you might have. It don't matter the lack of status that you might have. If God puts his hands on you, he's able to use you. The Lord said unto him, he said, surely I will deliver thee. He said, and thou shalt smite the Midianites as one man. He says, surely I'll deliver you. You shall spite them as one man. But God, you look back in the text, it said that they came as grasshoppers. For it was many of them. It was so many. But God said, when I get with you, when I empower you, when I give you the word to move, you're going to destroy him as if it's only one person. I wish I had some help in here. Somebody, brothers and sisters, you've been swamped with situations. You've been swamped with bills. You've been swamped with one thing after another. As grandmama used to say, if it ain't one thing, it's another. You've been swamped with situations just keep coming at you, bouncing off you. Everything, every time you turn around is something to deal with. And then all of a sudden, it was like your troubles were over. All of a sudden, it was like you didn't have that to deal with anymore because God smote them or smite them as if it was one situation. That's the God that we serve. And he says now, Gideon says, if I found favor or grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. Say, Lord, I'm talking with somebody, but I'm not recognizing who I'm talking to. And I know and I hear what they're saying to me, but I need a sign. Gideon didn't just take it at face value. Gideon didn't just take the word that somebody gave him and he ran with it. We got to be careful how we let everybody speak into our life. We better get some of these things that's being spoken into our spirit, into our life. We better get some of these things validated by a sign from the Lord. And Gideon said, now, Lord, if I found grace in thy sight, then show me a sign that thou talkest with me. And then he said to him, depart not from here. He said, don't leave here now. Hold on, I'm coming back. And Gideon went and brought a present before God. He went and got a sacrifice and brought before God. I wish I had some help, brothers and sisters. Gideon understood that if this was truly God, I could build an altar before him. I could lay out a sacrifice and God can consume it or will consume it if this is truly him. Somebody here need to understand today the reason why we're in some of the situations we're in, because we're scared to make a sacrifice. I'll take that back. We ain't scared to make a sacrifice. We too selfish to make a sacrifice. We too selfish to go and to take what we have and to come and give it unto the Lord. You got to understand their livestock was under attack. Their grain was under attack. Their fields were under attack. But Gideon said, I need a sign from the Lord. And so I'll take a livestock that I have that I could take and eat for my family and for myself, and I'll sacrifice it to the Lord. He bought it and laid it on the altar. He prepared it with unleavened cakes and an ephah of flour, and the flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in the pot and brought it unto him and presented it unto the Lord. And the angel of God said, take the flesh and the unleavened cakes and lay them upon this rock and pour out the broth, and he did so. The angel of the Lord put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and there rose up fire out of the rock. In the biblical days, in order to know that God had received your sacrifice would be consumed with fire. When Gideon saw the sign of the fire consuming the sacrifice, he knew then he had heard from the Lord. He knew then that it was the Lord that was moving on his behalf. And Gideon then became fearful, because he says, I have spoken, I have seen the angel of the Lord. He cried out, alas, saying, oh no, or he's crying and crying out to God. And the Lord says to him, peace unto you. He said unto him, peace, Gideon. Fear not, for thou shalt not die. And then Gideon built an altar unto the Lord and called it Jehovah Shalom. Gideon called it Jehovah Shalom because Jehovah Shalom, meaning God is peace. I told you, we oftentimes discover who God is by the situations and circumstances that are presented to us in life. Sometimes we have to